Fucking hell. Good evening, good evening, good evening. Here we are, another Wednesday night. Sorry if loads of people have been coming through. They're going, it's like waiting paint dry, you lot to come on live. But we're here. This is it. And we've moved ahead a little bit. We got a load of new technical equipment and super fast internet. And we got the, what can I say? Illustrious Lord George Christopher Bartholomew on with us shortly. So that'll be entertaining. He's been, I think he's done 50 years in the industry. Went to school with Bob Monkhouse, so he's got lots to say about him when he was younger. And he's then, well, what can I say? Famously known for putting Phil Collins on the helicopter during Live Aid to go to Philadelphia, so that he finished up on there doing Philadelphia and Wembley all on the same day. For those that are old enough to remember Live Aid, for those that aren't, I suggest you Google it. Amazing show, or you might have even seen it on the as I did the other day. I saw the Queen story, of the Queen story, or Freddie Mercury story. I thought it was absolutely fantastic over the weekend. So, and you can see how big that was if you're of an age that you weren't here then, because I think it was about 85, I think, something like that. Anyway, so that was that. We're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about a big gig in Northampton. We might get that up on the screen in a minute. That'll give you all the details, and we will put a link at the bottom. I'm trying to think of the date of it now. I think it's the 27th of June. Now, there it is. Sorry, 15th of June. Do apologise. League of Funny Bastards, it's called. And I think while we're here, Ricky Lane, we're sending out love to Ricky Lane. Our Ricky's been in hospital, had a bit of an operation in relation to circulation, and we wish him well. And hopefully he'll be running around the stage on the 15th. You've only got to look at the lineup up there. You've got Gary Roundtree with his fantastic Chubby Brown tribute. He's great friends with Chubby. He's got some great stories. I'm sure we'll have him on here one day. And of course, we've got Chris, who's booked Chubby 6 times at the Blackpool Pier, North Pier, the Joe Longthorne Theatre. And so I think we've got a funny squeak going on here, so I'm going to. I think that's better if that was going through the microphone. Anyway, yes. So he's took my promotion down. I was just going through that. Anyway, so Gary Roundtree. We got Gary Kemsley, obviously one of the founder members of the Bath Boys. And as you can see, Russell Hall, he's definitely coming on here at some point with his bingo, his special bingo. Oh dear. And there's yours truly there. Charlie Bailey, who I haven't had a chance to work with yet. He joins in the Bath Boys if he's down Essex End. Brought a few gigs to the table. And there he is, of course, with the General, as he's known in show business circles, our very own Jim Davison, OBE. Yeah, I think it's OBE. Yeah. Yeah, good old Jim. Does so much behind the scenes. Absolutely incredible. I went and done his laughter classes earlier in the year just for a giggle and a bit of an experience. But not every day you get to stand in front of one of your icons and try and be funny. But of course, it was television, so it wasn't quite the London Palladium with Britain's Got Talent with 2,000 people in the audience. But we had a laugh anyway. And he was there with Gary Bushell, Bushell on the Box, if you remember that. And Gary Bushell is one of the biggest sort of stalwarts of light entertainment in terms of the media and the press. He's really, really supportive of sort of light entertainment, variety, as we like to call it. And this gentleman here, Steve Waite, who's put this together in Northampton, I've got to tell you, that is a hell of a lineup, and he's really, really doing well there. So to be honest, £27.50 for all those comedians and a full night like that, six comics at least. That's going to be a bit of a night. That would be a good. That's even worth travelling down and getting a hotel and going to see that. I'm certainly looking forward to it, and not just because it's going to be a great night, but because it means that I'm going to go and visit my daughter. So I'm off to Hollywood. Got a couple of open spots to do on Broadway over there, so that'll be good. And of course, it's always good when you see your daughter. So I haven't seen her since last September. It's bad enough when you drop them off for the first day of school, isn't it? Nobody tells you they're going to grow up and go and live 4,000 miles away. But there you go. So I'm looking forward to seeing her. I'm down at the Haven this weekend, Haven Holiday Camp. So that'll be fun. Down in sunny Kent. What else have I been up to? Oh, been lots of things. We're quite impressed with this. We've got the new fast fibre. I think about 950, however they measure it. I don't know. Dyslexic comedian, I don't know. But it's certainly, the picture looks a lot better. I'm hoping the sound's good as well. So we're looking forward to that. What are we going to be talking about tonight? We're going to be talking about Frank Carson. Let's have a little look at him. I've got my little list here. Yeah. We're going to be talking about Frank Carson, which will be good. Absolutely amazing. I've got to tell you, the energy of the man. He was one of the first comedians up in the morning, the last one going to bed. And according to Jim Davison, he didn't stop telling gags all day long and everything else. Frank Carson, news at 10. So yes, and of course, Lord Christopher, or Chris the Greek, as he's known in around London, is toured with with Joe Longthorne for many years, doing the You and Me tour. So we're going to hear all about that, some of the fun and games that they had. I don't know the exact how many. We'll have to ask him. I think it was something like about 62 dates they did, and you've got to remember at that time that Joe Longthorne wasn't his best. His health wasn't his best. He rose to fame in a program called Junior Showtime, which and he just went from strength to strength. And then sadly, around the late 80s, he was struck down with leukemia, bone cancer, and that really did, to some extent, cut his career short. But it didn't completely, because obviously doing 62 dates, and he filled theatres for the whole 62 dates. I mean, absolutely phenomenal for someone that hadn't really been on the television at that point for the best part of 20 years. And then obviously as that built, and this is where we're going to talk to Chris, he was quite involved in getting him on various programs. So we'll talk about that. We've talked about, we're going to talk about Keith Harris. Now, I never met Keith Harris. I've been very blessed to meet a lot of one of my dear friends who's down here on the South Coast with me, the phenomenal Stephen Hewlett, the event act that was on Britain's Got Talent, went through the quarterfinals. I first met him around 97, funny enough, on a talent competition. And he came second on that occasion. I always thought he should have come first, really, but hey-ho. He won to a great act from Blackpool, funny enough, Stephen Pierre, who's basically sort of comedy singer, we got Bobby Bull, and, once again, I mean, I'm being a southern lad. A lot of these acts are sort of northern acts, and they do work a lot in the Blackpool area. And as has often been discussed, us southern comedians going north doesn't always go well. I don't think I've read a comedian's sort of biography without them having a story of their baptism of fire, either in Scotland or in Blackpool. So it does take a little bit of it takes a bit of getting used to. And I had some funny ones up there, but more about that later. I'm talking about Bobby personally, obviously. I'm trying to think now. Chris will probably tell us, but I think Joe died about 5 years ago. Now, 4 or 5 years ago. So the last time I saw Bobby Bull was at Joe's funeral. and how sad that we've lost him. We've lost him since. I don't know if anyone remembers. I think they ought to do it again. Actually, was that I think it was a Last Stand in Vegas, wasn't it? What a fantastic thing that was. All the acts that were on that. There was Jess Conrad, who Jess Conrad. You wouldn't think so, but that man is so funny, absolutely hilarious. And one of the things that sticks in my mind is we were going up when we were doing the Jim Davidson Adult Cinderella, and we were trying to find the Nottingham Playhouse, and we couldn't find it because if anybody knows Nottingham, it's all like on a one-way systems and trams, and of course it's quite difficult to get to the back of the theatre. So we stopped, and Danny Blue, that he's on in a couple of weeks' time, says to Jess Conrad, I was sitting just behind. He said, "Ask that chap there." He said, "Ask him where the theatre is. Ask him where the theatre is." So he sort of looked out the window and he said to this guy, he said, "I say," he said, "could you possibly tell me where the Nottingham Playhouse is?" At which point this fellow went, right, but he had the biggest teeth I think I've ever seen, like almost like a horse's teeth. And anyway, after he Jess Conrad kindly thanked him, and we drove off. At which point Danny Blue looked at him and said, "What did he say?" and Jess Conrad sort of looked around, and he looked around, and he said, "Do you know?" He said, "I don't know." He said, I couldn't stop looking at his mouth full of dog ends. And I don't know why that tickles me now, laughing about it. But sometimes when you're out on tour like that, silly things like that make it you just couldn't make it up. It was just such an odd thing. And I think what made it funnier, of course, is obviously years in the theatre. Jess Conrad's got obviously quite an effect, a theatrical voice. But of course, in reality, he's a Bermondsey boy, out the back of Battersea somewhere. So he sort of switched from this, rather, "Excuse me, could you tell me where they're not?" "I don't know. I couldn't stop looking at his mouth full of dog ends." Just crazy. But such a warm gentleman. And I'll tell you what, if I'm as fit as him at his age, I think he's in his late 80s now. It was his birthday actually a few months ago, and they had a big party with him. But I mean, he literally works out every day, and he is, wow, he's got shoulders. Woo. Yeah, I wouldn't want to row with him over the years. My cousin had a little soft spot for him apparently when she was a little teeny bopper. But yeah, so what else are we going to talk about? We're going to be talking about Roy Walker, who, once again, I haven't worked with Roy Walker. I've met him a few times. I've not actually worked with him, but always a real gentleman, and absolute gentleman without a doubt. So there we are. Just gonna have a little drink of water. Cheers, everybody. There you go. So, what are you doing for your holidays then? You all booked up to go for your holidays? Anybody going away anywhere nice? Ooh. I don't know if we've got any. I think if we're on the YouTube, you can actually make a few comments. So, if anyone wants to say hi, please do so. And yeah, let me think. What else have I got going on? What else have we got going on? Let me think. We spoke about Ricky. Oh, I know. We've got a wonderful girl, been very supportive over the years, is our Michelle. If you're watching Michelle, she's sadly in hospital. She's had she's had two major operations. One up on this side of things, having certain things operated on. And then sadly, she hardly got over that. And then they found some allergy on her liver, bless her. So they've literally cut her open. I just feel so sorry for her. She was only a black tie do that we were doing last month, and there she is in hospital with that. But at least they found it and operated really quickly. So we wish you well, Michelle. We wish you well. There we are. And a little shout out to Danny in Spain. It's his birthday today out there, and if you don't know who that is, he's bars normally on on the, was it Live in Spain, in it, or British on holiday? Is it British on Spanish holiday? Something like that. Anyway, so here we are. And oh, it's just started raining again. I can hear it on the studio roof. That's good. Makes a change. That means we should have a hose pipe ban in a couple of weeks. And yeah, what else have I got going on? Oh, cabaret and a rugby club. That's in Kent as well, coming up shortly. So that'll be fun. New website. That's what I've got. New website. www.ukcomedian.com. Which it's all a little bit upmarket with all of this AI it's been done with, yeah. So that'll be fun. And we're going to have some new sponsors shortly. Smooth Spirits in a couple of weeks going to be sponsoring us. So that'll be good. You'll be able to go online and get your upmarket organic gins and vodkas. And they'll be able to be sent all over the country. So that'll be good. Looking forward to that. There's a 3-day event up in Lincolnshire. So next Sunday, we're going up there to survey the land. There's going to be loads of stage acts on that. So that'll be good. More about that later on. And hopefully we'll have our Christopher should come through very shortly. Very shortly. Now, I'm trying to think now. I actually met him around about 2003, I think it was. One of the great underworld figures that for you guys that and girls that like following the gangster stories, it was Joey Pyle Sr., who's purported allegedly to have been the sort of godfather of the underworld for best part of 40 years. Anyway, he had motor neurons disease, so he well, he didn't, but it was decided to put an event on for him, which was to raise money for his and some stem cell treatment, which it didn't really solve the problem, but at least it gave him a year or so extra life. So that's when I first met Chris. We came together to put that event on, which was a massive event with a lot of other people helping, loads of people helping. Fabulous acts on there, the great Jocelyn Brown, Somebody Else's Guy. Remember that song? I've got to say, I've got different events that I've done over the years. Even if it was going a little bit, needed a bit of a livener, you guarantee put our Jocelyn Brown on, and she would just like lift the roof. The spirit of the song, the voice in that girl, just absolutely incredible. And she's so lovely as well with it, you know. So yes, and then we had Oliver Cheetham on there, and for those people out there that like a little smoke, he's sadly deceased now as well, is Howard Marks. He was on the bill. Howard, talking about his journey, which if you haven't seen that movie, Mr. Nice, I recommend you watch it, because that'll give you some idea what I'm talking about. He was a Welshman, isn't it? But he would talk all about working with the MI5 and the IRA and then all the rest of it. Not that I don't know which bit's true and which bit's false, but I suppose when you're America's Most Wanted, I think he had about 14 different identities at the time. Obviously, you couldn't do that now, I'm sure, but back then you could. And he was an Oxford Don, so he knew all the right people in the right places, I suppose, which helped him, you know, get away. But of course, he got caught eventually, and then after doing his time, he would then go around doing his humorous, and I think you'd have to use that audience whivs, talking about his journey, and I've had many a giggle. I've had many a giggle listening to that. It's pretty cheeky, and you can understand why they made a movie with it. How he's still alive to tell the tale, of course, is another thing. Funny enough, Chris actually knew him very well as well, so you never know, he might throw a few things in the hat there as well. The night itself, you can actually go and see that night. It's on YouTube. I think it's called Joey Pyle Lifetime Achievement Award or something like that. It's on Liam Galvin's. One of Liam Galvin's, he filmed that. Quite fascinating to me, because obviously Liam Galvin used to film lots of things then, and I don't know if he'd probably done DVDs at that time, but of course no one would have known back then that that YouTube was going to be the amazing thing and social media was going to be what it is now. You know, I had a television channel back about sort of 12 years ago, and of course you needed a top box like a Sky box or an Australian box or whatever, in order to sort of transmit the signal. Whereas now, of course, we can all do it on our phones, sit and watch a movie on the phones, and almost sit in an aeroplane and watch our phones, on a train and watch our phones. It didn't have that then, so it must be quite amazing to him to have done all that filming over like in the 10 or 15 year period, and then all of a sudden find such a sort of hunger for these characters. And there was no more than there was on that night, in terms of characters. Gary Butcher, we've always touched on. All the world champion boxers was on there. Steve White, Page 3 girls, all the Big Brother crew of the day was there. And of course, obviously they all came to pay homage to The Godfather. So there was about 10 crime families on there, which you might think, well, it's a comedy channel, why are we talking about that? But I have to tell you, if you want to see something funny, try and work out which crime family to put next to which one, and you have to laugh. It was certainly entertaining. Yeah, so there we are. But I must ask our producer where he got them two people behind them. I'm trying to think what they look like. They look like they got the Turkish teeth in, don't they? They got the turkey teeth. Mine are au naturel, I have to say. Dear, oh dear, oh dear. I've had. Oh look, please subscribe to our channel at the UK Comedy Channel. That'd be good. That'd be a real great help, actually, if you could do that. That'd be great. Someone said to me, "How much is it?" It doesn't cost anything. It doesn't cost anything. So you just literally go on YouTube and like and subscribe, and then we can have more and more people on here, travel around, do some filming here, some filming there, and add to the selection of entertainment that we've got now. I mean, what happened to BBC One closing about midnight with the old beep, beep, beep. So where was we? Yes, we were talking about the Joey Parr event. That was amazing. It's quite funny. Something went missing. So it went missing, and a few of the gangsters would go, someone's nicked the picture, and who's nicked it? I said, I don't know, there's 1,000 people there. I said, did you actually think you were going to get 1,000 of the underworld under one roof and nothing was going to go missing? Everyone laughed then, and God knows where it went. Some little picture or something, or that was something went missing, I don't know. So right, what else can we talk about? We talked about Ricky, and we wished him well. Oh, Gary, yes, of course. Sorry, how very amiss of me. It's Gary Kemsley's birthday today. So happy birthday, Gary. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday, dear Gary. Happy birthday to you. Boop, boop, be doo. Yes. Viagra, there's a funny thing. I've got a friend of mine, he works up at London Zoo. He's been feeding it to the snakes, selling them as walking sticks. And it's a little laugh when we get to the funny bits. There we are. So a little toast to Tony Gerrard as well, wonderful comedian. If anyone remembers Tony Gerrard, he's worth checking out on here. He's absolutely incredible. I don't know if we spoke about him before or not, but I think he's been past about must be 8 or 9 years now. But he was an amazing comedian, and he was like the comedian's comedian. Everybody loved Tony Gerrard. He was paraplegic and born in a wheelchair, and well, not born in it. He was in it from about 4 from polio. And I think one of the most amazing things, and this is not taking anything away from the names I'm going to quote, but I remember him following Joe Pasquale, Bradley Walsh, Jim Davison, Jimmy Jones. And I mean, wow, how do you even do that? But he did. And that was down at the Marlow Theatre in Kent. And I remember him getting a standing ovation. And I just thought to myself, wow, I don't get any better than that. But obviously, from my point of view, I used to tour around. We used to do the lads' nights in the old days. And he'd be the headline act. And obviously, you know, he'd been in that chair a long time, so he'd have funny little lines like, you know, do you like me shoes? I've had them 44 years, not a mark on them. It's nice to be here. It's been a long push from Dartford. Or what was it he said to me? He said, I went out with this girl the other night. I said, did you, Tony? He said, yeah. He said, yeah. He said, he said, we were down at Burpham, down in Guildford, because he lived at Woking. And anyway, he said they was under the stars. He said they had champagne and strawberries. And they looked at each other, and she gave him a little push, and he gave her a little pull. And she gave him a little push, and he gave her a little pull. And he said to me, he said, do you know, Age, he said, when we woke up in the morning, he said, we ploughed the field. And I thought that was quite funny. Oh, dear. What do we do, mate? What the things we do to earn a living? I like the old one about going back to the Viagra. I like that one where they reckon that there's about 1,000% more money invested in Viagra and boob jobs than there is on Alzheimer's research. And they reckon in about 50 years' time, there's going to be millions of us walking around with lovely perky boobs and raging stirrings and absolutely no idea what to do with it. And I thought that was quite interesting. But there we are. And anybody out there politically correct, my mum suffers from dementia and I look after her. So I think, and it's a terrible, terrible, debilitating disease, and it's terribly sad to lose your loved ones. And so if anybody's got their parents or loved one that's suffering from that, you've got my utmost sympathy. You know, it's tough, very tough. We were walking around Asda, they're not this week, last week, and she asked me who I was 4 times. It's heartbreaking, really heartbreaking. On the other hand, in the moment, she's absolutely amazing. She's more famous than I am. I put her on the Facebook as the goodie hunter. So when we go and get carrot cake and a nice cup of tea, I'll take a picture of it, or ice creams with grandchildren or whatever. And yeah, she's hilarious. I don't do it quite so much now, but in the early days, I used to go and what's it called when we go through the checkouts, and the checkout operator used to say to us, good morning, how are you, how's everything? And I said, no, we're all right, aren't we, Mum? I'll tell you what, I said, this shoplifting wears you out, doesn't it? You know. And in the early days, she'd go, don't tell him that. And I used to love that because it sort of meant she was sort of still in the room, and getting a telling off from your mum always was reassuring. She was still there, and she still responds the same, but she hasn't quite. She responds the same, but when she does whatever she's going to say, it gets a little bit mumble jumble, but it's still funny because you can just tell that she's just still got that wit in there, albeit that it's difficult for her to get out. You know. Somebody asked me the other day about Jack Foley. Those of you who've been following it on Facebook with Jack Foley, and not last August, but the August before, he was struck down by a stroke. And a lot of our charity work has been based on helping him. So once again, if anybody's out there that came along to the summer barbecue that we did last year, we've done a little thing just in January, and one of the chaps, Craig, done a half marathon and raised some money. We've had money donated from the British Forces Foundation and the Royal Variety Charity, and that money's been going for Jack to have treatment for asphyxia. And for those that don't know, I had a stroke about 8 years ago, so there by the grace of God go I, as they say. So I kind of felt for him a bit. And for those that don't know who Jack Foley is, once again, you can check him out on YouTube. We all went to see him in July. There's singer Agnes Jones and myself, part of the Madness management, and Mason Knight off of Facebook, and Tony Chaplin. We went to see him. He was with a 10-piece orchestra in Holborn, doing all the big Les Miserables hits. It was a fabulous lunch. We had a Sunday lunch. We was listening to him. It was all fantastic. And within a fortnight, he'd gone on holiday with his family to, I believe it was Poland, and had this stroke. And bless his heart, he couldn't talk, let alone sing. So there he is, Jack Foley on the screen. Bless him. Look, don't we love him? Go on, Jack. We love you, Jack. I can report that he's now good, like 14 months into his treatment, and he can sing. He can sing. He's just a little bit, he's having quite a challenge to remember the words. But I've never been able to remember the words. So, welcome to my world, bless him. But it worked through it. He's getting it. But he came and he was helping the Royal Variety charity event that they do 3 or 4 times a year. And he was helping us put the sound in. It's all sort of charity work. And Jack's charity work, once again, if you go on his Facebook, is immense anyway. In particular, he used to go down to Brinsworth House and entertain all our old our old household names. Richard de Sullivan was there, Norman Wisdom, Sir Norman Wisdom before he passed, and many stars over the years go to Brinsworth House. It's almost like an honour to go and finish. There's other entertainers there, and they have lots of entertainers come in. So that's down in Twickenham. So I can't speak more highly than the Royal Variety, and of course it's the Royal Variety charity that puts on the Royal Variety show, which you see, and it's the Royal Variety show charity that Simon Cowell promotes and sponsors, and that's where the winner of the Britain's Got Talent goes on from the Britain's Got Talent onto the Royal Variety show. Bear in mind it's just starting, so I thought I'd fill you in with that. So there we are. Doughty story from the past. Wow. Oh dear. How did I get into this funny world of showbiz? I actually started off. My family, they're all in Italy now, but at the time they grew up in the UK, and they went to Bush Davis School of Dance. So I had helped a guy do buy a club, and when he got the club, I said to him, well, that's interesting. I said, I've got half a club. I don't even never pulled a pint in my life. So he said, I'm doing an outside bar. He said, why don't you come down? He said, come down, and I said, yeah, all right, I'll do that. So this is around about 1993, I think, something like that. And anyway, when I get there, it was for the charity Scope, and in the room was the coaches pulled up, and there must have been about 200 women got off all these coaches in this little community hall down in Borden, down in where is it? Just the other side of Guildford, isn't it? Borden, sort of beginnings of Hampshire, I think. And anyway, there was just a vicar and some councillors, and they had a little meeting, a little committee meeting with all these people, and they all voted whatever they voted at the time. And it was a sort of very young DJ. And then the vicar went, and the councillors went, and then the music started, and the drink started to flow. And there was me trying to sort of juggle how much of 2 vodkas and coke and this and that. And after, I don't know, it must have been about 10 o'clock. This girl came up to me and she went, my mate said you're one of the strippers. And I said, Saturday night, I'd spent many years behind a meat counter at that time. So to me, I just said, yeah, of course I am. I didn't think any more of it. And then another one come up, another one. And then the first one come back. She said, are you really the stripper? She said, because we're going to have a whip round in a minute. So off she went. I said, you better dig deep in your handbags. I'm not cheap, just being lippy. And then about 20 minutes later, she came back with about 140 quid. She said, you got to do it now. She said, I've collected the money. And anyway, what can I say? There was a song in the charts. I don't know if anyone can remember it. It was called I know what was it? Hello, Mr. Vane, wasn't it? I know what I want because I want it now. I want you because you are Mr. And that was it. So, oh dear. I don't quite know what happened, but I think my next boxer shorts, which were the in thing at the time, if if anyone can remember Tyrak, or Next, was it? Yeah, Next Tyrak. Well, last seen him in about 1,000 different pieces heading down the A3. And I was signing all sorts of things. And was left thinking, you know, what is actually, I don't know where our Christopher Bartholomew's gone. I think he's gone on the missing. I did hear he was charging his telephone up, so he's probably put 10p in the meter. So anyway, meanwhile, back at the ranch. Yeah, so off I go. I've got to be honest, and I'll just throw this one out there. I think that most human beings, most people, look in the mirror and they might say, oh, my nose is too big, I'm too short, too tall, my boobs are too big, too small, my legs are too long, too short, my feet are too big. Do you know what I'm saying? I don't think many people actually look in the mirror and go, I am the bit. Yeah, I don't think people do that. And I certainly never did. In fact, when I was at school, I used to have little bits of sort of skin sort of growing down here. So when I was little, and I know there are a couple of people from when I was at school actually on here watching this, so they'll remember this. But I before my face sort of filled out, I had these two little bits. Anyway, I looked like, no disrespect to a Chinaman, but I looked like a little Chinaman, you see. So they used to call me Pancake. So my self-image, really, in terms of looking in the mirror, definitely wasn't, you know, just absolutely, wow, what can I say? And then as I sort of grew, and then my little nose grew and that disappeared, and then obviously must have gone a little bit from an ugly duckling to being half together, because all these girls were screaming, I can't be, must have been one of those sets of circumstances, can't be true. And then I went on holiday, went to a wedding, family wedding to Italy, where I actually spoke to my family and told them the story. I think we was all having a night in. It was one of those sort of torrential summer storms, and there was nothing to do. So we had a big barrel of wine. And we had a big barrel of wine, and we were all just drinking it. And as we got a little bit tipsy, and I started telling them the story of this event that I've just shared with you. And so they said, no, go for it. So when I came back, I did put on a hen night, as they were back then, and done it, and it kind of went from there. But obviously, I've worked out, I think I was about 37 there. So I kind of worked out, especially when our illustrious Chico, or Mac and Chico, as they were known, were on the circuit, and I looked one look at their 8-pack and thought myself, or 6-pack, and I just thought myself, well, my life as an Adonis is going to be pretty short-lived. So that's how I come to do Mrs. Doubtfire, dear, if you don't mind me saying. Wake up and smell the coffee, dear. Let your sheets cool down. And then obviously doing the lads' nights, and then the next thing, before I knew where I was, it was Sunday night at the London Palladium, and touring with Jim, doing the oddballs and all sorts of amazing stuff. So it's been a great journey for me. But so we're kind of what can I say? It was that was a sort of humble beginnings, I suppose. I think doing those lads nights over the years, it's quite sad, you know. I don't know if you've realised this, but for many years, part of our culture in England has been, for many years, is to have these lads nights, or the hen nights, whereby obviously, you know, you'd have a couple of dancing girls and a blue comedian and that. And although it's great that the girls are now doing the football, obviously between that and the woke thing, they've just completely stopped. You know, I think I've got one in a couple of weeks' time, but you know, we used to probably do 2 a week at one time. And I understand some of it, but I think also that there's a little bit of our culture's kind of drifted away, you know. I don't know. Is it like the smoking thing today? Everyone talking about the smoking and telling kids they can't smoke. That'd be good. They can't even what's it? Can't sort of doesn't appear to me they can manage burglars and various things. I don't know how they're going to actually I don't know how they're actually going to do that. Quite incredible. So leave you with my joke of the week. Oh, okay. Looks like we're leaving you a joke of the week. It looks like we're going to have to be coming back with Christopher Bartholomew, Lord Bartholomew. I think he's gone to the tower. I think he's been taken to the tower, I reckon. Oh dear, joke of the week. I don't know. Joke of the week. What can I say? Someone said to me the other day, where do I get my shoes from? I said, do you like them? They said, yeah. I said, do you really like them? I mean, yeah. I said, if you go down to Malden in South London, there's a big mosque down there, and there's hundreds of them outside. Just help yourself like I did. Anyway, listen, let's find out what's happened with Lord Bartholomew. Thanks for listening to me. A lot of waffle tonight, but we've been able to try out all the technical and the lighting and the new internet speed and everything. And hopefully I will see you very soon. From me, UK Comedian, www.ukmedian.com. Good night. God bless.